Board on these items. However, the board may refer questions to PCA management for review. The board may also request that you focus your comments to the issues only. No personal attacks or comments on any individual's integrity will be tolerated. Your assistance in helping to create open and civil public discussion and your participation in community issues is appreciated. So with that, if there's any one with a speaker card or we have speaker cards today. Yes, sir.
Diane Riley Torres not only was trying to help PCA keep a clean record by calling a member's judgment when you want to take an underage girl out of here without permission from the parents or anything. And when she did that, then the other board proceeded to kick her off the board. And then the guy went and he slammed our troops in the Middle East and all the veterans. And then I got on TV and said, don't check the box. Well, that's why I said don't check the box, because you people sat there and you had a guy that was executive director that said don't support our troops, okay? So this has been going on. You've been holding things against Diane for a long time. Diane was on this low power FM thing, and you know darn well she was doing a good job and this thing would have went through. But no, you turned it over to, Cindy Thomas turned her over to Zen Destiny, which he was incompetent, and that's not a person, it's not a personal slap. He's incompetent. He just couldn't do that. Couldn't handle the job, and you lost it. And maybe you wanted to lose it, I don't know. But she was, in my words, trying to help you people get this done, and she was doing a good job. And whatever else you guys got against her, I'm up at my 3 minutes because he's timing me. And that's all I got to say right now. It's just a little bit, you know, I want to let you know a little bit about Diane Riley Torres. She was better than a lot of people in here, and she doesn't have meetings and then say other things the next day either about people. Thank you.
Of course, and I have made some copies for you of Petaluma. Best of Petaluma, everybody. See, Best of Petaluma comes out every year. And so I need a copy. If you could maybe share it. Thank you. I'm going to pass it over there. And then, and I also have a copy of an email that I received from our executive director that I'll pass out. And I think I'm doing that for each of you. I should have done this first. But. Okay, anyway, the August Courier, Best of Petaluma, and my program, City Watchdog, is in there. Okay, and it says, thank you, could you pass it on? It says here, Best of Petaluma, and it says here, I am, says that's not quite ready for primetime TV show. Diane Riley Torres conducts her City Watchdog program on Petaluma Community Access PCA by going out into the community and talking about politics, business development, and other hot topics, accompanied by her dog hunting and occasionally behind the wheel of her new 64 Corvette, or her 64 Corvette. The show appears on Channel 26, Petaluma Public Access Station, and recently taped its 100th episode. This is 2 years ago. I'm now up to 153 episodes. After 6 years on the air, Torres often employs a man on the street style of interviewing and footage of city council meetings as she talks about local goings-on. She's even been up in a plane with the manager of the city airport. While the production values of what Torres has called her spontaneous news show will have no one confused with 60 Minutes, it's good to know someone's out there with a video camera fighting for social justice and open government in a small town that's getting bigger. Now, if the August Courier thinks my program is worthy of being one of the best of Petaluma, I know a lot of people have been flooded, a lot of seniors I've helped. I can go on and on the meetings I've done. It's the way I give back to my community. That's how I give back. Teresa, a lady who lost her everything in a flood, remember? Marcel, I try and help people. I try and support underserved, the youth, the seniors, elderly, and Hispanic community also. Now, I got an email from Julie telling me, she said, Ms. Riley Torres, PCA reserves the right to air programs which best work with our schedule. We understand our obligation to air all programs which fall under protected or free speech, and we have done that. Your program aired at 11 a.m. Sunday, February 20, 2008. In the future,
your 3 minutes are up.
Okay, well, you can read it. I have my 2 questions is, what criteria was used to determine my program is not in the best interest of PCA? And She refers to "we decided this," and I'd like to know who does "we" encompass. And I also would like to know what board members told her I called them at home and harassed them about this issue. Those are my questions, which I'd like to answer. And I wish I could have gotten all the questions I've had over the past 4 months, but I assume that you've written them down and you'll be giving us the answers since you have a new board now. Thank you.
I have a question.
Question for Chris?
Oh,
You
okay.
can come in 2 minutes when you come up.
I don't want to use comment time for it
Well,
because,
then there's no, this is only comment time, so use your 3 minutes if you like.
okay, I'd like to make a
Name for the record.
my name is Richard Squalia. Okay, and I've been involved with Diane Riley Torres' problem for a little while. I was at several meetings with the president and our director. And what I saw happening, I've also came to the meetings that you've had here, and what I saw happening is one, Helga Rodriguez, who was an asset to the community, who the members wanted back, who the board decided they weren't going to hire him back, they weren't going to follow the wishes of the members, because we were very specific, we wanted him back. It was quite obvious he's an asset to the community, to PCA, and whatever, and his church, or whatever organizations he goes to. I don't know the man personally, but I know his reputation, and all you have to do is ask. Now, you let him go under questionable circumstances. You basically, from what I understand and got from the meetings, is that you locked him out. And when he tried to leave, you wanted him to sign something. And the reason I say that is because I asked our director in one of the meetings, did you ever receive anything from Helga in writing? And she said no. And yet I know he did, because I had a copy of it, of his complaint that he sent to the board, that Diane passed along to the city council. Now, this ties in with Diane's problem. Now, Diane doesn't have a problem. What she does is, she basically won't keep her mouth shut when she sees something wrong. And there was definitely something wrong going on there, and so she didn't keep it a secret, like I'm sure the board would have liked to have kept it secret and tried to, because they put it off for months. So this is why you have a problem with the Hispanic community, because they stood by a good member of their community, and I applaud them for it. Now, instead of addressing what the members wanted, you decided to ignore it until when? We got some more board members. That's an easy way of putting it off, and what happened, it got put off for months. You caused this problem for PCA, and you brought it upon the membership. The member has to suffer because of your poor judgment. Now, I'm not saying you haven't done good things in the past, but I'm saying in this instance, it was very poor judgment and could have been handled differently, and you brought this problem upon us. Now, I wouldn't be surprised, I wouldn't blame the city if they suspended our franchise, and I say our because I'm a member, suspended our franchise until we got our act together. I wouldn't blame them one bit. In fact, I'll go to the council meeting myself and suggest that if it doesn't get straightened out tonight, or very, very soon, because that's the way I feel about it, and I wouldn't blame them one bit. This needs to be straightened out. It's ignored and ignored and ignored. Meanwhile, he's being prosecuted. It's a matter of harassment between him,
Your 3 minutes
his
are up.
fault, and hers. It's harassment, and because of his standing in the community, especially the Latino community, you can't harass him and not harass the rest of the Latino community. You can't discriminate against him and Diane with their standing, knowing their standing in the Latino community.
Now we've had 3 minutes.
And not expect that it doesn't affect the Latino community. We all know that. So I just like to see it resolved. I'd like to see the whole question resolved and quit being put off. It's not a matter of personalities, it's just a matter of finding out what happened and say, well, we'll do it different in the future.
Thank you for your comments.
Texas, and I had a live show for 1 year straight. And I don't know all the problem with Helder. I know he's not getting his job back. I mean, it's not really what I'm here. But what I want to say is, if I wanted to have my show back, but he's part of my show. He's one of my producers, and I'm not saying you guys have to put him back and work here, but can he come as a member and just help me to do my show, because he's a big part of my show. I mean, that's my only question. And I mean, I like to get answers too, I mean, about the lingo that we haven't get done. I mean, my show, it has been stopped for like 4 months.
I've known Diane for kicking her out of the board and just kept kicking at her. And now I'm asking you that Diane has done a lot for this community, and I have witnessed in the past couple of years, Petaluma Estate, Youngstown during the flood, and the Sandalwood Estate. She did a lot for us at Sandalwood Estate, elderly abuse. And her and Larry restored the fishing in Lucchese Park, and they are responsible for adding Lucchese Park to the list of coastal cleanup. And Diane informed the people on many issues in the community, and you have to forgive her if sometimes she gets emotional, but you keep on beating on somebody, and right now it's time to give her a hand and pull her out. I don't think that she deserves what she has been through. And about Elder, this is a gentleman that's very talented, and if anyone would be proud to have him working for them. And by the way, you have been treating him, the very least you could do is apologize to him. And I would like to see these two issues settled tonight. And there was some, on my membership list, I brought that up to you at another meeting, the last meeting, that my membership has been tagged. It says on the Diane's Friends. What does that mean? And I would like an answer on that.
I served on the board of PCA for almost 5 years. One of the things we agreed that we would do is keep whatever goes on by the board as transparent. One of the things we found a few years ago is when the board heads to non-transparency, the members get upset because then they start thinking the board has an agenda that is not going to include the members' best interest. I would suggest that and it's been alleged that this board is trying to head to an area of non-transparency. I beg you, don't go there. If you look at the bylaws, the members actually have a right to dissolve this corporation. And if they feel they're being stepped on, they can do that. And if that happens, it's probably going to be blamed on the board that it happened. So I would suggest not go there. My next issue is...
1 minute is up.
Okay. Thank you.
Who's able to make it tonight? I didn't know if members who are present, public, for an agenda item that needs to be on tonight.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, since it looks like you have my membership, something about my membership, I'd like to request that you add in Helder Rodriguez's membership. I think he would like to, he's tired of waiting, I think. Helder, you want to speak for it yourself?
Yeah. As a point of order, there's nothing regarding your membership on the old business. I'm sorry.
No, this is adding or adding items on the agenda?
Oh, I'm sorry, this was something that Bill Green requested.
Okay, but this is, the item we're talking about is adding items on the agenda, or changes, right?
For tonight?
For tonight.
That's fine, we have a request.
That's my request?
Just for a simple addition of agenda item on that, and I would prefer that to refer that. Is Helder, are you asking?
Yeah,
for
I would like to be added, I would like to be added to the agenda.
Okay, we can do that under, because it's an employee relationship.
Membership.
No, I'm talking about my membership. I don't want to work here. I'm talking about my membership because I would like to be able to be a member. I was told that I cannot be a member. I tried to pay my membership and I was told that I cannot. So I would like to request.
Okay, I can refer that to the board. What would the board like to do?
I thought this was a closed session sort of thing.
Right, because it is a past employee that this is all involved.
I-
So that's my recommendation.
It should be a closed session.
Up to you, yes.
Yes.
It should be a
Closed
closed
session.
session.
If he's a member of the public and he wants to join PCA,
So
then we
this-
should know why he's not,
Excuse me.
Please stop.
why a person is not being able. Excuse me
Excuse me
for
for a
being
second.
out of order, but I'm sure
Yes,
this is
you are out of
something
order
we're
at
all
the moment.
I'm
Please,
sorry.
we're having a discussion in the board right now, and that's where it's at right now. The request has been made, we're discussing it.
Call for the vote.
Okay, so what is the board desires? Is there a motion or on this?
I moved to have this in closed session.
I second that because
Oh, man.
I think this is very important that we have a discussion with Helga. I've spoken to Helga on numerous occasions, and if Helga has said even that he's willing to volunteer to come in here. So I think this is something that would definitely be better aired out in closed session as opposed to being on the open board.
Okay, any other discussion with the board? Okay. Any all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Closed session.
And against? We have one against? Okay.
You know, while you guys are there, could I add another thing to that? Before you change?
So another agenda item, please?
Yeah, well, you know, there's a lot of questions that people want to ask, you know, the board, why they done certain things, why they said certain things. And it just keeps going on, and you guys keep passing it on, and you never get to that point where you're gonna let the people ask questions. So can you do that in closed session and see if you're gonna let us talk?
Can I rephrase that for him, and you let me know if I'm, can I rephrase that for
Yeah,
him?
go ahead.
And you let me know if I'm off base.
Go ahead.
A number of us have questions about certain issues, and like he just said, and they're not being addressed. So if we need to put on a special item on the agenda to address questions that haven't been addressed in the past, then we should do that. And if there's not enough time to address all the questions, then we ought to carry that agenda item on to the next session, to the next meeting, and to the next meeting, and to the next meeting, until all these questions are answered. I think in the long run,
Thank
it
you
will
for-
help us all.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, we can do this under future agenda items. We can put that in there, and we can add that in at that time.
But we
How are
did
we
that
gonna
last
do that?
time. You did that last, that's what you said that's what you said the last meeting, that you would, when you got a
Yeah,
full
we were
board,
gonna
you would
do-
answer,
Steve Carmichael
you would
said put
address,
some time
Steve
aside.
Carmichael did too. You said at this meeting you would address all the issues that have been brought up and answer the questions. We've been waiting for months. You said that you needed a full board, you have a full board now.
Yeah, exactly.
And request, okay, and we need to move on. At the moment, we
That's what
have,
you always say.
we do have that request, and is there any discussion of the board?
I thought we were
If there's no
ready.
discussion,
I think if they really want to address these issues, and they feel that strongly about them, somewhere in this meeting tonight, we're gonna find time to deal with that. If you look under old business, you'll see we're dealing strictly with the issue involving Diane Raleigh Torres. I'm personally involved in it. Now, Helga, again, that's a thing that I think should be addressed in closed session. But the questions that you're asking now, you can bring them to me when we have set aside time to do that. And not only to me, but to the whole board.
no, thank you. All right, we still have to go now to the agenda approval. Is there a request for the agenda as listed? Motion to accept the agenda. Second? All in favor? Okay, all in favor? Any nays? Okay. All right, moving on.
I'm going to hit upon 3 items tonight. One, I'm going to briefly discuss the audit. Secondly, I'm going to briefly discuss the timing of the release of financial statements, very simple issue of bringing it up. And thirdly, I'm going to review briefly the role, the function of the treasurer here at PCA. I have if there's anybody in the audience who wants one of these sheets, I encourage you to bring it up. If anybody does want to ask me any questions related to anything on here, I'd be very happy to answer. No problem. When we had our workshop a few weeks ago for the new board members, actually this was on the agenda since our statements will be done in a couple of months. I either talk on the phone or swap emails weekly with the outside auditors. At the current state, there are no internal control issues of any note. Secondly, we don't have financial statements tonight because what has happened in the past, the bookkeepers were not getting all the information in on time. So in other words, what we're gonna start doing, this is the month of February right now, the financial statements for this month will appear in April, so there will be a 2-month lag in financial statements. We couldn't do a 1 month as mentioned because the bookkeeper frequently was not getting information in on time from the vendors. So we ran into some complications there. At one point, we even discussed the option of pushing the meeting back to the moving it to the 4th week of the month and a few other options, but we decided that that would not be feasible. So therefore, I don't have financial statements tonight. Next month, in the month of March, I will have financial statements for the month of January. Okay. Getting into the role of the treasurer, I'm going to briefly go over this. If anybody wants to interject, please ask. I'd be happy to amplify what I have to say. Probably the most important thing that I do, I work with the ED on the financial statements, the preparation of financial statements prior to the board meeting. When I say preparation, I don't prepare them, our bookkeeper prepares them, but we work in conjunction with the bookkeeper. We make sure financial information gets there on time, bank statements, paid invoices, etc., etc. Frequently, the bookkeeper will ask us about this or that issue. The bookkeeper also acts as a second layer of internal control. When she sees something that doesn't make her approval, we get a phone call. Frequently, we go down there and meet in person. So we interface with the bookkeeper regarding the monthly financial statements. Secondly, my weekly meeting with Julie. 2 basic things happen. Check requests are prepared for invoices. Those people who think that she or any ED could just go write a check for the heck of it without any kind of control, completely off base. Any and every dime that goes out of here must get the approval from myself and usually John or somebody else on the executive committee. And on the check signing, it takes 2 signatures, okay, not just one person. So we are watching this stuff very closely, and this is public information also. I should go back to the financial statements. For those who want financial statements, they are always here for the people to look at. A check register is included with the financial statements, so if anybody wants to look at specific checks, the information is right in front of you, all right? Something else I do with the ED also when we meet once a week, we discuss current financial issues and concerns. Specifically, we look at the budget. What are the trends? What's weak? What's strong? Might there be a need for an adjustment to the budget or that sort of thing? And frequently we will discuss in general terms for the following, start making plans and preparations for it. The annual budget, this is something that I convene and chair the finance committee to create the budget for the upcoming fiscal year. Tonight, before this meeting is over, I hope we have a finance committee here on the board. I want to start getting the wheels rolling on the budget for next year ASAP. And you can read on there I monitor the budget as mentioned with the ED. If there is a need to make amendments to the budget, I will work with the finance committee and the ED on that. So that if we do have to make an amendment, we'll be able to answer and supply any information that might be asked. Once the budget is approved by the board, then we will submit it to the city. Auditors need information, or documentation, or whatever, they will call or email me. In most cases, I forward that information on to the ED. Monitory, from time to time, I will do a surprise audit of petty cash out in the front. Something else, I recently met with Julie about, we weren't, well, I'm trying to come through with either a cash register at the front or with, the receipts, paid sequential receipts that are issued to people when they leave after they make a purchase. So these are very basic internal control issues we have to look at. In the monthly, or in the weekly meeting also, we review deposits. We take a very good look at it, compare it to the budget and that sort of thing. I personally prepare a budget worksheet which I attach onto the deposit slip and also the daily cash receipt journal that we keep here. So, in summary, that's it.
The money that we get, who's on the check? Is it a check written from the city that comes to us? Is that how the money goes? I understand it originates with cable.
For capital assets?
Oh, for the,
Oh.
lovely.
For the funding, and I understand we get,
It's Comcast, no, it comes from Comcast.
but I know it originates with Comcast, but it's my understanding that Comcast gives the money to the city, and then the city makes a check out to us. Is that how it goes, or am I mistaken?
Comcast, money goes directly to.
Directly from Comcast? Under the provisions of a contract they have with the city.
The franchise.
So without the franchise, he said he didn't get money and he doesn't do the city set it up, so with the last franchise agreement.
Well, now, in the future, franchises are all gonna be handled by the state, because they basically passed a law last year that said that they were gonna take over control of those kind of things. So,
Pastor, where we would make a check out to the state, and then the state would disperse
I
it.
have no idea. My guess is it's still gonna go from Comcast straight to PCA, but I just don't know that for a fact.
Is-
I can't imagine them changing that. I think that the big concern of the state around franchises was that every city and county was doing it a little bit differently,
Mhm.
and so there wasn't, the same kinds of criteria demanded from one county to the city to the next.
Is there a possibility that the state will want more piece of it?
No. Plus, one of the other reasons why they did this is because there are other players coming into the franchise business, like AT&T is now installing their Uverse terminals in Petaluma so that they can start providing cable.
They will be subject to
A franchise, so they would basically be subject to the same franchise that Comcast.
So our revenue should increase.
Hopefully, or at least anyway.
The bylaws say that the audit's supposed to be done and provided to the members by September of the annual meeting, last September. And I know you're working very hard on it, but can you maybe explain, because I just keep hearing
Sure.
well, annual records or whatever, but can you be a little more specific?
The
Because I'm
fiscal
very
year
concerned why it
and-
hasn't been done.
Look, the fiscal year ends 6/30. It is an impossibility for an audit to be ready in September.
Uh-huh.
That simply doesn't happen.
Okay.
I began working with the auditors actually in September, preparing documents and that sort of thing. The fact of the matter is audits take a while. And it's not uncommon for 6 to 9 months after 6/30 that the audit report be submitted. Even after the first audit draft is done, it'll be sent to me, I'll present it to the board, try to get input. It's all a process. At this stage of the game, when's the audit gonna be ready? We're in February right now, probably in April.
Okay. One of my concerns, and I know other people said the same thing, is, and I don't know if this is going to be included in the audit, but, we're concerned about the, equipment that was here before, what happened to it, is one thing, is that, I don't know if it's going to be in the audit.
Yeah,
Is that anything that?
if I could respond to that, Julie and Chris, and most of the board members are aware of this. I'm taking on doing a complete inventory of capital and low value assets here at PCA. As a matter of fact, a meeting has already been scheduled for next Thursday, where I'm going to instruct staff. I will bring spreadsheets I will instruct staff on the ins and outs of conducting this inventory. It'll be very comprehensive. Excuse me, very what?
The financial committee will be doing that.
Oh, no, staff, the actual staff here will be performing the audit. Something I personally have a lot of experience with, and I feel I'm very qualified to take this on, especially in light of the relocation. It's just extremely vital that this audit, or excuse me, this inventory be completed. But as mentioned, it will be comprehensive. By low value assets, everything between $100 and $1,000 will be included. Goods under 100 will not be. And there are capital assets, of course, over 1,000. This was actually
About that, and we have to deliver annual reports.
yeah.
I have here on my list an updated membership release, and I'll do that quickly, and then maybe they'll suggest a couple of other things. The membership, I'm sorry, you can hear me? Oh, the membership renewal, what we're doing is, we are on a monthly basis letting everybody know that their membership is lapsed, if in fact it's lapsed, and we are sending an invitation to renew their membership, and letting them know if they have any late fees and things like that. It is an accounting procedure that Tom brought to our attention, and has been brought to our attention, and we are in fact underway with that, and we did the seal, and so I just want the board to know that we are doing that. The second thing that I think I would be remiss in mentioning in my report is that Petaluma Community Access Television at the present time is fighting for its survival. Okay? Let's just be absolutely 100% clear on what's going on here. PCA TV either will exist or it won't, based on the decision of this board. That's the way it is. Right now, we do not have a location. We do not have the financial resources to find a location unless we identify those resources as a group and come forward and create a future for PCA. There are two agendas on the table. One agenda is to reinstate Diane, to reinstate Helder, to define Channel 27 differently than an education station. That agenda has been talked about. I think it's fair that we need to represent that. There are folks who come here meeting after meeting who want answers to those questions. And as executive director, if I'm missing anything, please let me know, but I believe that's one agenda. There's a second agenda, which is about finding a location for PCA, which is about working toward better financial resources, and also defining channels. As 27 is the public station, 20 as the education station, 28 is government, and 26 is public. And I think that, frankly, I believe that these two agendas need to be sorted out, and the board needs to make a decision about what it's going to do moving forward, because we can no longer suffer discussions about this and have no result. This is our survival on the line, and we need to be able to answer these questions moving forward. As your executive director, I do need to make
Thank you.
Excuse me, the public didn't have any discussions about any of this moving to PCA yet.
We're getting there.
It's on the agenda.
It's on the agenda. All right. Full report?
That's
Else?
a full report.
Public comment on the report?
No, there's no, we just heard the report, we're just accepting it, and we're moving on.
Whenever the items are on the location,
This is just, we received the report unless if there's a specific question as to the information that she has that needs to be clarified, and for clarification purposes only, we can.
Otherwise, no comment at this time?
No comments, just the clarification, you need clarification at this time.
We need clarification that she said that there's me, Howard, and Channel 27, and I'm not really clear about what the Channel 27 issue is, but I just want to point out that that right now Channel 27 is just airing satellite, which is pretty much, so, I mean, I don't know what that has, that doesn't have anything to do with me.
That's agenda item tonight, so
Okay, but
we're
that
getting
doesn't have anything to do with me, I'm just saying.
there. We understand that.
Okay, good.
All right. Moving on to reports of because there's no consent calendar, move on to the reports of the committees. For the executive committee, we did have a workshop, which was, I thought, fairly successful. We were able to get most of the board members trained too, were not there. So Petaluma, we'll need to have you come in and get a full get your binder on that. And we have, basically just went over just rules, regulations, procedures, the franchise agreements, basically an education on bylaws and what's in there, and handing it out. Hopefully everyone's gotten a chance to review that in time. So I'm taking your copies waiting for you. So when we get together, you and Julia and I can talk about that. Get you trained up on that. Other than that, we did set forth with some priorities as to what we're going to do at the very next meeting, and because of the recent relocation issue, we thought that was the number one issue we need to deal with. As well as we pointed out, we also need to put the Chapter 7 and other issues that she stated. To make that official, because we've been lacking one for a very long time. So I'd like to take care of that business first. We are required to have a secretarial position responsible for keeping the official keeper of records. And he must be one of the board members, and automatically also will come on the executive committee to help make those decisions. So the executive committee gets to meet in between board meetings. If there's a mandatory decision that has to get made before the next board meeting, then the executive committee has the power to make that decision. So it's a fairly powerful position, keeping records, publicizing meetings, keeping notifications going, make sure information is transferred, and then also participating in executive decisions in between board meetings. So with that, I'd like to, that's the job of the secretary. It's a big job. So with that, I'd like to go with straight to anybody would like to nominate themselves or others.
I have carpal tunnel syndrome.
What's that?
Okay, we are missing 2 board members tonight, and maybe we can, we want to nominate them in their absence. But hopefully we can get them to go with that. Without a secretary at the time, just be aware that is, against this, like, I think there's some state rules about nonprofits, we require 3 positions, that's one of them. And there's sometimes it's the secretary treasurer is combined into one position, but I think Tom pretty much is stacked with the treasury job. So I would like someone to step forward between now and next meeting and take on this responsibility. Now, we can get help if it's carpal tunnel, then maybe someone can take all the notes and just take the responsibility of overseeing the actual action. You don't have to actually do the actions. You're responsible for making the actions happen.
Yeah.
So that might be a possibility. So I'd like to take that into consideration. You don't have to actually take the actual minutes. You can make sure that the minutes are correct. That's basically the job, taking responsibility. Okay, we'll put on the next meeting then. And we will continue to take the, as acting, just take minutes for us physically. And at the moment, I guess that leaves me as the current responsible person for it at this time, which I'm not very happy about. Because that's already, I have too much on my hands. If you're, okay, for the next meeting, or for this meeting? This meeting. Yeah, well, unfortunately, the note-taking, the physical note-taking is, Julie can handle that at the moment. It's the actual position that we need to legally. And we already agreed, so, your plate's full too. All right, moving on. Okay, moving on, the next thing is old business. We have a statement by Bill Green regarding past discussions of Diamond Auditorium's membership.
Since I became involved in issues, I'm going to read you a statement that I made. Since I became involved in issues involving PCA, there's been an ongoing battle between the executive director and Diane Rowley-Torres. I would like to put these issues to rest and find a way to move on with the pressing issues that PCA is facing, like finding a place and funding and all of these things. And as promised at the last meeting that PCA had, we would address all issues once we had a sufficient board to make decisions and recommendations. I believe this is one of the most important matters, and it's between Diane Rowley-Torres and the executive director, and we should address it as soon as possible. Before I go on, I would like to make a personal request that all calls regarding the board or PCA be brought to my attention through the PCA or the board and not at my home. I don't want messages on my home phone that sounds any way intimidating. At my home, I have a teenager that I have to raise, and I also deal with my business, my recording studio and music, and I invite any young person that's interested in music, wants to learn anything about the recording industry or have any talent to come. I will deal with, you can call me at home about that, because that's my own personal thing. And I will be glad to show you anything you need to learn or know about it, and you can have access to the recording equipment also. But when you call me about things that involve the board, I'm only one person. I cannot make decisions for the board. So please try to, if you got something that involves the board, I would appreciate it if you addressed it through the board and not through me. As for the issues involving Mrs. Torres, she said she's not been given a proper chance to respond to her issues. I would like very much for the whole board to hear the issues from Mrs. Torres and make sure she, before this board, be given a fair chance to state her issues. Also, I would like the board to be given an equal chance to respond. The charges that have been leveled against PCA by Ms. Torres are very serious and should be acted upon as soon as possible. Mrs. Torres has stated that there has been racism and hate crimes committed by PCA. I would like to know as a board member how, what, where, and when. We as a board need proof of these accusations so we can address them and correct them if they are indeed fact. The time that's being consumed by these allegations and dealing with them are taking away from the valuable time needed for PCA to move forward. And making sure PCA continues to serve the community and everybody in it, we need to get over these issues and get on. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my request to all of you is to once and for all settle these matters as quickly as possible, and get on with all of the issues we face as we go forward. Mrs. Riley, if you would like to deal with or state some of the things that you have said, if you have anything you want to address me personally with, I'll be glad to take it. And once again, and do not call my home unless it's something that doesn't concern this board.
I have no problem with that. One of the problems I have was that over the past months, I've made comments, asked questions, like, not just me, a lot of people have. And we were told that, that everybody's, we've been writing it down in a month. So I'm not really prepared to have a whole list of my issues. I mean, I'm not that, because I wasn't sure what I was going to say.
Could you do that in the future if she's not prepared right now?
I mean, I'm not sure, what I want, I mean, I just want to say, PCA has been a part of my life for almost 2 years. You know, I want to work with everybody. I don't want to fight with everybody. You know, like I said, I give to my community through my program. And I feel that, I just feel that Julie just doesn't like me. She just doesn't like me. And I don't know what to say. And I want to be a member, and I don't feel my membership's taken away right or legally.
Ms. Shores, I appreciate what you're saying, but it's like I said before, I wanted to know who, what, where, and when. If you can give me a little more specifics, I would appreciate it. If you're not prepared, then we can put it on the next agenda, because there's these, we're talking about, I understand you've been here for 10 years and everything, but the issues we're talking about involve racism, hate crimes, and these things need to be addressed. And these issues were made by you.
And not just me.
But I heard from you as the board member. I also heard, I have to deal with what I heard. I can't say, I heard it from him, or I heard these words come out of your mouth.
City council meeting?
Yes, I heard you
Moses
say it,
Valestas
so.
was also there, he said something, also said the same thing.
But we're talking right
When
now,
I said I didn't know if it was a hate crime, but I thought that it was, I felt it was, and I felt myself a bit shut out. That's
could you
actually,
please explain to us what you call a hate crime? What is, and what has been done?
you know,
to call-
I have to have my, I wanna have my head. I wanna have
At
my-
this point,
because I mean,
I
I
think
just,
some preparation needs to be,
yeah, because I didn't know what to expect
okay,
tonight, really.
So,
But I do
what
wanna say,
is-
I'd like to have my membership back. Okay, so I'm just not prepared because I, you know, I mean, I have things I've written and I'd like to have them on me and prepared.
We'll put you on the agenda, because, and we would like very much to keep a good working relationship, but we would also like to keep a relationship that encourages PCA, that betters PCA. Right now, we have a thing where there's accusations being thrown back and forth, and because of those accusations, I believe we've lost some funding, I believe we've lost some opportunities and everything else. So we need to deal with this as soon as possible. So, and I think,
Well, I think we've also lost probably this place as well, as far as all the other controversy is
I hope you're
concerned.
not blaming me for that.
All I'm saying is controversy.
I just want to say that the actions that the board did in the past is what brought on all this hate stuff.
Absolutely.
And I'd like maybe Helbert and Moses, since they're with the Latino community, or Luis, I mean,
We need specifics, not generalities, and I
Okay,
think what he's talking about needs to be addressed. If we keep talking around it, it's not serving, it's taking away the energy that we can be devoting to the survival of PCA.
I agree, I want PCA to survive, I don't want PCA to shut down.
So we need specifics only as far as hate crimes are concerned.
I
Anything
don't
else
know,
I think is superfluous.
I never said that, I said
You
I
wanna
didn't
speak for
know.
her? I'm sorry to interrupt, but what I hear coming,
Very, you feel like
what I
attacking.
hear is.
One person at a time. One person.
I feel like this is
May I make a
a,
comment?
yes.
May I make a comment?
No.
hold on a second.
Well, let's air this out.
I'd like to air it out a little bit, but see, I mean, I feel like this is what Zen Destiny referred to as another hanging of Diane Riley Torres. I really do. And for nobody here to even, and I asked Julie to please give you a copy of that complaint.
I did.
That Zen
It's right
Destiny
here.
pushed
We
me.
have a copy.
And he said that, and people just to say, oh, it's okay for people to trash Diane and to talk bad about Diane. I'd like to know, you know, I never said there was a hate crime. I said I didn't know. I said I felt that the Hispanic people had been shut out. I felt I had been shut out, and I still do. Because I'm afraid you to come down here.
Okay, so at this point,
So, I mean, but I'd like, some people here, maybe could, I'd like them to say something, because I feel like I'm being attacked by 11, 12 people, and I'm by myself.
at this time, we really need to deal with the major issue, which is our relocation, because otherwise there is no PCA, so that has to be dealt with tonight.
You see, I want, see,
So-
most of us, we
Hold on,
want
Suzanne, you have the
PCA.
floor, please.
Now you're putting it off again.
There's been a request, and if she heard that there needs to be a prepared statement on the exact issues that you have with us on the list for prepared presentation. And we have between now and next meeting to do that, and that's been requested. What I sort of heard was sort of agreement on your part that you would like to do that. So can we take this to the next meeting and have the
Okay,
specific
well,
details?
can you give me a list of questions I want to ask?
No, this is questions that you, these are statements that you have for us.
For what?
Issues.
My issues.
Right, we need to have specifics, specific details. If you have a case you would like to present, we would like to hear
Because I
that,
think I
that
sent
specific
all that
case.
to you, I mean, you know, I just don't have it chronologically with me, but I'd like to make a request that if you would allow at least, members of the public to make 30-second statement. If anybody here wants to give it for 30 seconds, I'd really appreciate it.
right now, at this moment, excuse me, I'm sorry, the issue is you and the board here. We want to resolve that if at all possible. I want you to present us with something, and if you're not prepared, I understand. You could, but you have until the next meeting to prepare it. I think told you that all of the issues that have been brought up, and I believe I sent you an email, and I have a copy of it, saying that all of your issues would be addressed. And I expected you to come prepared with your issues, and to say now that you're not prepared.
That has to get into a program. I mean, it's
I'm about ready.
You know, Larry, you have called my house and left a
Hey,
message that I
you know
did
what,
not
Bill?
deliver.
This goes way on before you. This goes with the old board.
Whoa, guys, is this unacceptable? I can have a cop here in 1 minute. So keep this down and make it civil, you understand?
You guys are trying to beat around the bush
No,
on
we're
this
not trying to beat
issue.
around the bush here. We've asked for one thing, Diane says.
You
she wasn't
removed
prepared.
her and you didn't give her a reason why you removed her, way back when.
Larry, just drop it, okay, just drop it. Okay.
Diane?
If you wanna call the cops, call them.
At this time, what I'd like to hear from you is that if you'd like to prepare a statement with the details of the exact
Then
issues
just-
you have and ready for us at the next meeting. Can you do that?
about my membership, is that?
Whatever it is that you want to have with
See,
the
I'm
issues
just,
you have
I'm
with us.
just, I really am.
Whatever issues you have with PCA.
Whatever issues
what
you
we'd
have
like to hear.
at this time.
Not just your membership, any issues.
My program.
Put them on paper and present them to us at the next meeting.
Can you give us a list
Okay, so I got,
of
he
details?
asked what I thought that.
What about their reasons?
I mean, how many meetings?
Huh?
And Diane,
And
we
it's
thought,
not, this shouldn't just be about me.
Diane, this is gonna be a formal agenda item. This is your opportunity to lay it out specifically,
Okay, okay,
one,
you
two,
know,
three.
maybe, I mean, you know what, I can't tell you how much I feel for PCA, and I want to move forward, but I feel like I'm having to argue with all these people, and, I feel like I'm being ganged up again, and I don't know why, because, just because I stick up for other people.
okay, then we're asking for a very specific thing from you. So please provide it at the next meeting.
You guys did all the
Why should
removing.
I have to do all the work?
You should give her a reason why you
She
removed.
provides something. I don't.
Why'd you kick her out? That's what you gotta do.
I don't
Excuse
need-
me, but-
I don't need this.
Okay, at the moment, the issues have been delivered as far as we know, and have been addressed by myself and by several people on this board.
We're talking about the board that was in place when she got kicked off.
You must stop it.
If we will,
Just stop.
the board is here, we're not gonna resolve these tonight. We're going to address it at the next meeting. There's no issues at this time. We do not have issues at this time. We want to move forward and move on. So we're done with this new business. We need to move on to the other next business, please. Okay, one on the new business. Number one on the list is the location. And we need to hear from there's a letter here that we have from the school board. And Dave, would you like to make a presentation to us as to what's going on?
I wasn't involved in that meeting, so this is the first time I've ever heard of it.
Okay,
So my understanding is that there is some space issues here at Casa Grande that enrollment is at 1850 now, so expecting to rise next year. And there's also.
excuse me, gentlemen, if you have a discussion, please take it outside.
Okay.
I'm having a hard time hearing Mr. Rose talk about this issue, which is number one on the list.
And there's also a construction project going on during this summer that will carry on in the next school year. So a space that we have premium for delivering student education.
Okay.
And other than reading this letter tonight, that's the first I've seen it.
Okay, so we have received this letter. Let me read it to you.
Can we get copies?
Julie, did you have copies of her?
There's a copy for the public on the bulletin board, you're welcome to.
But I will read the letter too, so that everyone can hear it.
Thank you.
Okay.
You
This
gotta
is
call
to
Lloyd
Julie
at the
Akins,
same time.
on PCA, concerning the termination of lease. Thanks for meeting with me on January 31. I've shared your pleading for PCA TV email with district administration, and we do see that the connection between PCA and Casa Grande High School has improved. The issue for the district continues to be the need for space to accommodate Casa Grande High School's educational programs. To best meet the needs of the district, please accept this letter as written notice under Section 31, termination of April 16, 1996 MOU between Petaluma City Elementary School District, Petaluma Junior High or Joint High School District, and Petaluma Community Access under Section 31. Either party may terminate this MOU for convenience with 1 year or less by written notice to the other party. As I shared with you at our meeting, the district is requesting PCA to vacate the premises by June 30th, 2008. By the termination of the MOU, PCA will have enjoyed the use of the Casa Grande High School facility for over 12 years. The district is aware that PCA has already begun an active search for a replacement facility, and we wish continued success for the valued service PCA provides the Petaluma community. Sincerely, Steve Bowman, Deputy Superintendent, Business and Administration. Okay, and it's on official school letter. So this terminates the current MOU that we have with the school district, which refers to the housing here and certain relationships with the school district. So the primary focus is on the location and the physical space, but the implication beyond that on everything that we do here is paramount. I mean, this space is PCA at this time. So we now need to take action, take it quickly. We need to make a move somewhere, somehow. We may have to reorganize and restructure the entire PCA, how we do business, what we do. We'll have to reevaluate a new MOU with the school district, because there is an educational channel, which is the responsibility of the education districts, both the high school unified district and the elementary school districts. And
meeting that I felt was really disingenuous, because I sat at the meeting, I thought I was going to be seated on the board. I didn't speak up during the public improvement plans thing that was happening. I didn't defend my friend. I felt so terrible. I'm Diane Riley's skirt. So
No personal attacks, please. No personal attacks.
okay, all right, okay. Okay, then let me address the Helder situation. Helder, I've supported Helder through the years. Just not too long ago, I was pushing for Helder to run the radio station. I can tell you this. I don't think Helder is good for PCA. And I'm going to tell you why. Because he did this. He came in and he was being called on some behavior, and he resigned. And we accepted his resignation. And then he left, and then he didn't come back and ask for his job back. He still hasn't asked for his job back. What he did was he came back and gathered this big mob and started accusing a wonderful person of racism. So that's really unhealthy. I'm really uncomfortable about it. In fact, this is what Helder does. And he didn't speak at the meeting. He pushes people to the front, and he has them speak for him. I'm real uncomfortable with it. And
Say that that I wanted to be in the board to prevent all these kind of problems, and I don't know what's the problem with him, because I haven't seen him until the problem just came up. And last year, like in January last year, he takes equipment from here, and I haven't seen any shows or anything from him. So I don't know what's the problem, or the that have concerns have come, to meetings to express themselves, and the board, is here to listen to those members of PCA and members of this community they look up to you to resolve their problems or their concerns, to listen to them, okay? So at no moment I have seen people attacking other people, and if I don't say anything, if I say something,
I'm combative, you know. If I don't say anything, it's like I don't want my job back, you know. And, you know, it's not about my job, you know. I'm asking for support to these people. That's it, you know. My question is there somebody now who can, you know, help them as I was doing it, you know, to support them like I was doing it, you know. If that's the case, you know, that's fine, you know. I need to move on with my life, you know. I have given PCA 10 years of my life, you know, and I'm really, you know, like happy with what I have done to PCA, you know. I don't have any disappointment like for